So, let's see. Okay, so here we go. Share, copy link, send that to you. Okay.
Computer.
Okay, so they say. Okay.
I think it's just my dumb butt watching right now.
I almost said description.
You almost what?
I almost said description below. That's such a YouTube thing to say. In my bio.
Yeah. Don't want to do that.
Okay. Remove the red bubble and replace it with the live stream. Paste. Done. Okay, so I'm actually gonna go back to YouTube so I can see what the see how the stream is doing.
Let's go.
Okay, so that's going well. I'm going to tell my other friend,
Okay. I went on my computer. Probably gonna mute this on here.
Alright, so that's cool.
Okay. I went on my computer.
Oh wow, that is like way worse than your phone. Okay, so how's your day?
I heard myself on the computer, which was weird.
Ah, you sound like way higher quality than I do, which is kind of funny.
I'm just gonna like the video on with my thing, so that should be funny.
Yeah. Luckily, on Monday, I should have, the microphone and stuff to have a better, stream quality. So hopefully that helps. Let's see. So what have you been doing all day?
I always have to cut myself off when I'm talking to you when I delete the app by accident.
Oh. Oops. Let's Let's see. Blackbeard's ghost. That's a thing. Okay. Actually, I should grab this. That might be a cool image to have. Well, so I'm gonna quickly grab those and add those to Streamlabs. So, Blackbeards. I completely missed Identity V rank today.
It's just Identity V rank. It'll be
Yeah.
there at 5.
Yeah. I wish I knew how to make myself louder.
I don't know.
I just need to make sure that I talk loudly so that the audio picks up.
True.
Here we go. Here's the thing. Okay. I swear this guy from Strongest Man in the World looks so much like Kelso from that 70s show. Alright, save that. One more. Okay, so now I can add these images. We got 10 minutes till time.
Sweet.
Okay. Let's see if Streamlabs doesn't hate me. Oh man. Oh, what are you sending?
It's just our link. Chill.
Okay. Okay, apparently I can't share these images, but that's fine, I guess. Everybody can look these up themselves, and I'll put them in the thumbnail later.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Or if you know on Please Stand By, they can hear what we're saying, right?
Oh yeah, I know they can.
It's weird.
Let's see. Where? Doo -doo -doo. Alright, so let's see. We got about, as of right now, 7 minutes. So let's see. Let's see if I can add those images on now. No. Why do these things hate me so? Add a scene. I'll do that later. So, I think we can start doing this. Alright. And so,
Ooh, nice.
Okay, the pressure is fixed because I test streamed today trying to draw, and the pressure, the pen pressure was at max, and I didn't know why.
Ooh.
Okay. Um, let me put the desktop audio down so it's not so loud. Alert boxes down. Oh, but then nobody can hear you that well if you are that. So let me turn you up a bit. So that should fix the problem. There we go. Okay. I can hear it echoing on your side there.
I know, I had it close up to the microphone.
Oh, I sent it to the wrong thing. Okay.
Those eyes, though.
Yeah. Alright, so we got about 2 minutes. I feel like we can start introducing ourselves. I am Davy Jones, owner of this YouTube channel, and this is my friend Ari the Vampire.
I like how I did a peace sign even though no one can see me.
I swear this will be high quality later. We are learning. So there's like no one here right now, but the recording will be saved later for anybody who wants to watch it later. So there we go. Okay, so today we are talking about old Disney movies that nobody remembers, but they are in fact on Disney Plus. So if any of them pique your interest, you can go and check them out for yourselves. But yeah, we started looking at old Disney movies and their trip, their trip. And I'm not talking animated, I'm talking live action. So there's a lot of content to be covered with the with live action Disney movies because a lot were made. So there's that.
Yeah, I had never watched any of these movies, and I was, oh my gosh.
Oh
The,
yeah, I don't.
every time, every time, like when we watched the first movie, I was like, okay, this is probably going to be a really weird old movie, but I actually ended up enjoying it for some reason.
Oh yeah. Uh, yeah. I personally grew up with some of these movies. Um, I grew up with two of them, and I find a lot of enjoyment with them, and there are some that I have never seen before, so I'm excited to start this series. But the first one we're going to be covering today is Blackbeard's Ghost from the let me remember when it was released. Um yeah, it was 1968 Blackbeard's Ghost by Walt Disney Studios. So, uh how do you want to do this? Do you want to like go over what the movie's about, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, we can do a quick like little plot summary of it.
All right. Uh so the movie is, as you can guess, is about Blackbeard's ghost. However, it doesn't go exactly how you would think it would go. Um, they started off like it's going to be an exciting and even scary movie, but really it's really just about this track team coach who's being haunted by Blackbeard, and silly hijinks ensue in great old fashioned slapstick style. So
Yeah, like I was saying before, when when you first had me watch this movie, I was like, "Oh God, you're just on one of your pirate kicks once more." Because how you love your pirates. Like we just finished watching 4 out of the 5 Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and I was thinking, "Oh, we're just gonna keep watching more pirates movies. This one's an old one, so it's probably just gonna be really lame."
yeah, yeah. Honestly, if I hadn't watched this movie before as a kid, I probably wouldn't have given it a second glance or something like that. But then again, I probably would. I'm pretty weird with my choices of movies. Uh, the movie itself, it takes place with a where the wreckage of Blackbeard's ship was, North Carolina, I believe. And there's this island off of North Carolina's bay in the story, which is called Godolphin Bay, um, where this hotel made out of old ship parts wise, I thought, that was kind of cool. So it's owned by these old ladies, and these guys are trying to take over the island because they want to build a casino. So they're trying to essentially bankrupt the place so they can build their casino because there's this part where they explain why he wants the island, which I think it's like the legal jurisdiction. Like, is it actually a part of America or if it's its own thing? So the laws would be slack for his casino.
Yeah,
Uh, for our main character, Steve, he is the.
basic boy.
he
Is he not?
yeah, he is the straight man of the story. He is the tight-laced, stuck-up dude of the story. He is trying to, he got hired as a coach, and let's see, I am losing my head right now. But he went to the hotel. He's staying at the hotel where the island is, of course, and they have an auction, and he gets a bed warmer, and he breaks it in half when he sits on it, and he pulls out a booklet full of spells from Blackbeard's, one of Blackbeard's wives. I think his last one.
His creepy wife. That oh my gosh. If you could show a picture of the If we could show a picture of the portrait, that would be funny, but we can't. But God, do you remember what it looked like? It was so creepy. Her like doe eyes were just like staring at you.
Oh yeah, it looks very much like one of those old Victorian paintings, except her eyes are. I think I know why it's so uncanny. Her eyes are big and wide. It's so weird. Um, so he takes a booklet and he chants an incantation which lets him see Blackbeard. So now he's haunted by Blackbeard.
I just find it really dumb that he decided to read the incantation out loud, and it's just a bunch of googly gook. Like
Like,
none of the words make any sense.
yeah. So he reads the spells out loud, which is kind of funny. And probably not smart. If you, it's yeah, don't do that if you come across a very old, falling apart paper of spells there. But so there's this chick. Her name is Joanne, not to be confused with the singular name of Joanne, but her name is actually Jo and then Anne, which we did not know until the end credits. So that was kind of funny.
It was literally J-O space Anne. It was kind of funny. Of course, we were making fun of the other guy's name because his last name I think was like, what was it, Purvis?
Oh yes, there's the football coach. His name is Purvis. It was an unfortunate name indeed.
And the two of us are just inappropriate. So we were laughing at that. And then there's just Silky. And then there's the bad guy just named Silky Seymour.
Yeah, the bad guy's name is Silky Seymour. He's the very stereotypical gangster. Everybody in here has some sort of stereotype, which usually would play against the movie, but I think because of the simplicity of the story and how the characters kind of balance each other out, it works out. And also the amazing work of the actors. The actors have a lot of chemistry. But yeah, this character which I'm drawing right now, Steve, is the straight man. He has, a moral code and he's proud to follow it. While Blackbeard, being a pirate, is the complete opposite. He's kind of silly in this movie. They don't make him scary at all. They play him up for laughs, which I think is okay.
I just love that he has a rum problem.
Yeah, he's a drunk. Yeah, they play him up to be like this drunken idiot, but again, it's a comedy, and I think it goes okay with the movie. Now, when he's first introduced, I think this kind of would split people because I don't think a lot of people would like that kind of loud personality.
And it's also just he's also just really different from like I think last night we watched Pirates of the Caribbean 4, and it's just like difference at looking between the two Blackbeards that were made by the same company, both by Disney.
Yeah. Uh yeah, the Blackbeard from Pirates 4 is really Of course he would be different. He would be more imposing than this movie. But he's kind of silly. His introduction would probably turn some people off from this movie just because of how loud he is, but as the movie goes on, it grows on you, and as a silly hijinks can ensue, uh it's just kind of funny.
Oh, yeah, and he speaks so fast, and he has just that like accent and he speaks an old language, so it's so hard to understand him half the time. But it's funny if you pay attention.
Yeah. Let's see. What? Oh yeah. So, tired, very tired because Blackbeard's ghost, uh, snores and sword fights in his sleep. He goes out. Steve goes out for a drive, and Blackbeard follows him naturally because he's haunting him. Uh, and Blackbeard tries to take over the steering wheel of the car, and they get pulled over by the police. And
Yeah, never a good idea for someone who's never doesn't even know what a car is to try and take a steering wheel. But
the
kind of like my driving, to be honest.
uh everybody beware on the streets.
I have not gotten in an accident yet. We should be proud of that. Yet is keyword.
Oof. Um So, the police is, pulled him over. And because Blackbeard is, drinking rum, he brought it with him in the car. The police is just like, wow, drinking and driving? You must get written up, sir. And Steve tries to explain to him that he's not drunk, even though, he's
Like he
acting kind of
is.
like he is because he's being haunted by Blackbeard, and it's just like, oh, this guy is stupid and drunk. Okay.
Well, I mean, like, how would you react if you just saw just saw a random stranger just talking to themselves, acting like having a conversation with someone else, and like grabbing on things and pulling them back like someone else is pulling them? It's kind of a little off-putting.
It really is. So the police is just like, okay, sir, please step out of your car. And Blackbeard takes the bottle away from the police, and the police thinks it's Steve, and he's just like, oh, you destroyed evidence, now you're under arrest. And this is, where the silly hijinks ensue, where Blackbeard does something, and Steve can see him do it, but nobody else can. So if Blackbeard, for instance, and this happens in the movie here, he takes the police officer's pencil and breaks it in half. So it looks like the pencil is breaking in midair. And Blackbeard takes the police officer's motorcycle and crashes it. So
He also took the gun too.
oh yeah, he took the gun.
He took
uh
his pistol.
yeah. So this scene kind of sets up like what everybody else can see when Blackbeard is doing something, and it also kind of sets up the fact that some people think Steve is crazy because he's yelling at Blackbeard to stop doing this stuff, and he's being pulled around by Blackbeard. So everybody thinks he's crazy. So he spends the night in jail with Blackbeard, and Blackbeard, no, Steve remembers that the curse, which one of the old ladies told him about before bed, apparently. We skipped over that part. So the old ladies at the Buccaneer, like, hotel, which is, the hotel on the island, they're kinda, playing up the fact that, this was Blackbeard's island and da 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 da, that kind of thing. So this one old lady is putting on this huge act, and she tells him about the curse, which happens to be true. So Blackbeard has to commit an act of kindness to move on from limbo. Oh,
Not
no,
the fun limbo. I
no,
totally beat your butt in limbo.
it's because you're short. Oh my god.
I'm
Let's see. So Steve is just like, oh wait, the curse, you just need to commit an act of, human kindness or whatever. And so this sets up the rest of the movie where Blackbeard is, getting money for the ladies at the Buccaneer Hotel. And he does that by taking, their donation money from Joanne and betting it on the Godolphin track team. And
which
Joanne
is
is not happy about that.
well, yeah, she's not. And
No.
Godolphin is the team that Steve is in charge of. He's the coach for, which I believe what how long have they been for? They're losing to like
They said like
63 years.
60, yes, about 63 years or something.
And they like 2 years, and like a lot of people they were like, oh, they're not even competition because the team just so bad.
Yeah. So beginning of the movie, and I don't, we're going full on spoilers here, but the beginning of the movie, it sets up how bad the Godolphin track team is through, some of the jokes and some of the dialogue. So when you actually get to see the track team, they really are, they really are bad. They can't run fast. They because
One of them scared of the start so it goes off and covers ears.
yeah, they're out of shape. But
They don't know how to do shot put.
apparently, so Steve has to whip these guys into shape before the tournament that's in a week. And this track team does way more than running. I think they do like Olympic style stuff.
Have you ever done track? Did you ever do track?
No, but my brother does.
I did it for 2 years, and yeah, it's not just running. There's shot put. I think it's called discus. I remember I did high jump, long jump, and I did a lot of the relays or just like races.
Oh, so it really is more than just running.
Yeah, which you would think one of them would just be able to run fast, but no.
So they're getting ready, and they're not really good at the sport, and so Blackbeard, when he bets some money on Godolphin, Steve is freaking out, and Giant's freaking out, of course, because one, that's the donation money for the hotel, and the Godolphins are not really good. And so Casey Moore, he's just like, I'm not giving the money back. You have to go through with this bet. I'm sorry, but not sorry.
It's a typical guy who only just cares about his own, like typical guy that just only really cares about his own thing and wants him to go his own way, just as Seymour is.
Yeah, typical uh casino bad guy, that kind of thing. And so the track meet comes up, and Blackbeard is doing his thing. He is the uh, taking the other teammate. He's manipulating. He's cheating essentially during this track meet. So he's taking, batons. He's taking the pole vault, the poles for pole vaulting and chopping them up.
I think for like high jump, he was knocking down the pole whenever someone else jumped.
Yeah, he would knock down the pole, and he would, mix up everybody's batons and whatever.
I just found it funny that no one seemed to really notice more care about what was going on. They were just more in shock that Godolphin was winning because
Yeah.
because of all like the random things that were going on. Like no one seemed to care that how the I think it was the shot ball just, like, was like going up and down in the air and then was suddenly stopped and then was thrown.
Oh yeah. Uh, there was a point uh where Steve is, trying to yell at Blackbeard to get him to stop, and he's, ranting and raving at him, about morals and whatever.
I
And
have
everybody's,
principles,
yeah,
and a good man always follows his principles.
Yeah, and everybody's just, kind of looking at him like he's crazy because he's just like, who is this guy talking to? So,
He also kept trying to run on the field, which was annoying everyone else too.
yeah. So, once Blackbeard stops finally, and he's just like, you know what, fine, I won't help you. Uh, Steve realizes that if his team loses, the old ladies are going to, essentially lose their home and their business and their livelihood. And he's just like, okay, I have to put my pride aside. And he, tells Blackbeard to get out there and continue cheating, as it were.
Yeah, that was Blackbeard just like wait a moment and I'm gonna be really slow doing it to be dramatic.
Yeah. And let's see, so they actually win the match. But Silky Seymour won't give the money back to Joanne. Or like the money that she won as well from this bet that Blackbeard made. So Steve is just like, you know what? I'm gonna go over there, probably beat some people up, and we're gonna get that money back. And so they march over there, arm in arm, and to face Seymour. Yeah, they're singing, which is funny. And Joanne joins them too.
Even though
And
Joanne thinks he's insane.
yeah, and so Seymour is just like, I won't give the money back, but you can play for it. And Steve is just like, is about to object when Blackbeard is just like, you guys do it. So he's going to cheat again to get their money back. So that's funny.
I mean, a lot of people in this movie just basically cheated.
Basically, where is it? I'm trying to find. There she is. Okay, I need to draw Joanne now. So I think the casino scene is the funniest part of this movie. When Blackbeard starts beating people up, that's the funniest bit.
The casino scene was pretty funny.
Yeah. So they get money, and Seymour's just like, I can't let you leave with that money, and he's just like, okay, boys, ice him. And the Blackbeard takes their guns away, and he starts, beating them up, and nobody knows what's happening. So, uh,
Oh yeah, they start like a finger gun, like pointing a finger gun at people, and like every time they got pointed at, Blackbeard came behind and whacked them upside the head to knock them out. So they were all like, "Oh, we have magic in our fingers!" Boom.
that was hilarious. And
I also
so,
find it funny that
oh,
I
continue.
found it funny with the okay. I found it funny with the one guy who every time he was like, "Oh, stop him" or something, or like, "Stop this right now," he would pull out his weapon, and Seymour's like, "Not like that, not like that."
Oh yeah, yeah, that was great. Uh,
It was like, it was just funny to watch. It was just so stupid. How that one guy thought murder was the answer to everything.
yeah. Let's see. So the movie ends where they take the money back to the Buccaneer girls. Steve gets them all to repeat the spell.
Goggly goop.
Yeah, so they could see Blackbeard. And it ends with, Blackbeard being like, "Oh, I did human kindness. Now I'm gone. Bye." Uh, I think the last part was kind of sweet because you got to see him reunite with his ghost crew as they move
Yeah,
on.
because they had the silhouette of a ship. And you hear voices of his crew. They're like, "Captain, you're finally back."
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. I left a lot of stuff out. I didn't want to spoil too much, but I had a lot of stuff in here. Uh, Overall, so our rating system, how it's gonna work, we're gonna rate it out of 5 stars. For character, story, theme, I have my notebook here.
Characters, theme, comedy, story, and film.
Yeah. The comedy bit might change as we move on to more serious films, but when we're covering like, a comedy or something that a movie that's supposed to be, comedic, we're gonna move on with we're gonna do something else for instead of comedy. But for now, we're gonna rate it out of 5 stars for each section here. So I give the characters a 3 out of 5. They're pretty bare bones basic. Yeah, you have your goody good guy, you have your drunken idiot, and you have girl. But because of the actors and because their chemistry was really good, and how the personalities kind of play off of each other with the different people and their different stereotypes, I feel like it works for this movie.
Yeah, 'cause I ended up giving it a 3.5 because I really enjoyed it. Just the characters, they were fun to see together. There's the crazy old lady in there who went way out when she was playing. She was just hilarious to watch and kind of scared me a little bit with how into it she was.
Oh yeah, she was definitely into her role.
And I know my favorite character was Blackbeard, obviously, because I think the entire time I was just laughing at how like drunk he was most of the time, or just looking drunk, and that was probably my favorite part about his character because I just like silly drunks.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let's see. For themes, I told you at first I gave it, a 2 because they weren't really any themes at all, but I gave it more thought, and I feel like it's more about the pride that both Steve and Blackbeard have, and how they had to put it aside to work together to have Blackbeard move on and for Steve to, be a good coach.
Yeah, because it went a little bit over values and views of like what the two main characters wanted to do, and you could tell they were kind of changing each other through the entire movie.
Yeah. Um as I said before, originally I gave it a 2.5, but I think I'm bumping it up to, a 3 because no, again, it's still a very simplistic theme, but uh there's more in it than I thought when I started thinking more about the film. Again, it's not deep. It's, a silly comedy film, but it had more to offer, like a little more to offer than I initially thought there was.
Hmm.
What's your rating for themes?
I gave it a 2 out of 5 again, just because, like you were pointing out, it didn't have that much, and they did have like the values and the views, but besides that, it was kind of just a comedy in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of comedy,
Like
oh, go ahead.
I wasn't expecting it to be like all heartwarming and like, oh yeah, like themes of important themes everywhere in the movie, because it's a comedy. It's not really supposed to be taken serious, but they did have a little bit of serious things in there with just kind of like going over values, how being around different people can change you. But besides that, that was really about my tongue tied. I'm tongue tied. Really about it.
Yeah. For comedy, it's got some slapstick in there, but it's not Three Stooges level of slapstick. You said before you don't like the Three. I think you enjoyed it more because there was, a element of wittiness to the comedy.
Yeah, I love witty like comedy. I can't do like I've told you multiple times before. I don't like the fart jokes or the butt jokes or the burp jokes, any of those kind of jokes, because like it's a very just overdone and dull kind of comedy. Where I prefer kind of like I prefer the witty comedy or like sarcastic comedy, or like comedy that kind of makes you have to think.
Yeah. Um.
Which is why
Oh, go ahead.
which is why I enjoyed the movie, because it didn't have any of those like jokes that I don't like, and the jokes it did have were actually funny, and I do like slapstick comedy.
Yeah. Yeah. The For me, I do like, old-fashioned type slapstick comedy. Um the witty, comedy can fly over some people's heads. Some of the jokes can fly over some people's heads because they don't make it, as obvious, or, comedy was what was considered funny back then is kind of different from what you would think is funny now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure some things flew over my head as we watched. For some people it will be hit or miss, but I think it did a pretty good job.
I mean, we did watch this movie like 2 times, I think, in 2 weeks. So what we didn't catch in the first movie, well, in the first run of the movie, we saw more in the second movie because we got to hear it again.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. I gotta check the freaking connection. Hang on. And it won't let
again,
me
again,
Streamlabs. Why are you
guys,
such
this
a
is our
piece of
first
shit?
podcast. So sorry about this. Sorry if it's a little rough. We're still trying to get used to this, and with quarantine going on, we are both apart from each other right now.
Yeah,
So we're trying to make it work.
yeah. Uh, as I said before, I'm getting a new microphone on Monday, so hopefully this volume issue and quality issue won't be as much as a problem. The connection, I'm not sure how it's gonna be fixed. Hopefully the recording of the stream, is you can experience better with a recording of the stream uh
I'm,
instead of as it's playing if there's any hiccups.
Yeah, I mean, we both do have like kind of bad Wi-Fi wherever we are, but
Uh
that's just
yeah, we live in like farmland nowhere, so Wi-Fi is interesting.
it really is. But like back to like the comedy, like I wonder if they ever thought about like the names they were giving their characters, like Mr. Purvis. That was, or what his last name was just funny, and then Silky Seymour for some reason just made me laugh. I don't know why the name made me.
Well, Silky Seymour is definitely, a stereotype mobster type name. I
I
think
have I have
Purvis
expected him
was
to be
not
wearing a
intentional.
fedora.
Yeah, yeah, but mobster, the type of mobs back then stereotypically do have fedoras. If you've seen Spider-Man Noir, you know what I'm talking about. Let's see. So for comedy overall, I'm very lenient with my scores. I probably shouldn't be giving all these scores, but I gave it a 4 out of 5.
I
Just
ended up giving it a 3.8 out of 5.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. The story. Um, it's definitely not what I expected. If you went in blind without, reading it, reading the description or anybody telling you, uh, you definitely wouldn't expect, this kind of story. Um, However, it is a simplistic story, and it it isn't, that deep.
I feel
But
like most people going in wouldn't have thought it was a comedy because it's like called Blackbeard, and probably wouldn't expect someone trying to save like a hotel, more like trying to look for his treasure, which has like nothing to do with this entire movie.
oh yeah, you would think that a movie like this would involve some sort of pirating or treasure hunting, but there is some pirating in it, but like that's the main point of the story is, that. Uh it is simplistic, it is easy to follow, and you don't need to think too much to enjoy this movie. I gave it about a 3 out of 5.
Was that for film or comedy or what?
Uh,
What are we on right
we're
now?
we're on story. We're on story.
Yeah, I get what did I give it for story? I gave it a 2.8 for story.
Mm. So last but not least, film. Uh, the methods they use. I feel like some things that would require you to use like wire. I think they did it pretty seamlessly. Some of the effects they did was pretty good. Like when the guy was being stomped on, when the door landed on top of him, you know.
Or the parts where Blackbeard is invisible to everyone else's eyes. So
Yeah,
it's interesting to see how they like created that to like lifting things up when he was carrying things and other people's perspective, because it just looked like a floating thing, which you would expect to be seeing wires or something, or
yeah. I wonder how they did the broken pencil thing.
green
uh
screen. I don't
yeah,
know.
I mean, I think there is green screen in this film. There's definitely some screening happening in there. I'm not sure if it's because of, Disney Plus's, high quality, probably like high quality picture s type thing, but I think they did it pretty good. There's still some things that look a little rough, but it doesn't really take away from the film itself. So,
I also
uh,
just like the settings and like like the architecture and the settings of like the area. Like the hotel was like beautiful. Like Blackbeard's room was beautiful to look at. Like you said, you would.
I would what now?
We were talking about this before. You were saying like how you loved like the what Blackbeard's bedroom looked like in the hotel, because
Oh
that's what
yeah,
Steve
yeah,
ended up
yeah.
saying.
Yeah, I would I would love a room like that. Sorry, you cut off a little there. But yeah. The painting backdrop of the hotel is definitely really pretty. Uh the sets are really nice. The sets for the hotel is really nice. The restaurant and the college, it's a restaurant and a college, but also when you get to the casino, that is also pretty interesting because everything like looks kind of clean, kind of that. I'll be honest, the casino building looked kind of weird because they had wooden walls and like green carpets or something. That was weird, but it was still interesting to see the casino there. I'd give film about, a 3 out of 5. There's a lot of 3 out of 5s here.
I gave it a 3.5 just because I really liked I just really liked all the settings and stuff. in the film.
Yeah. Let's see. So overall, this movie for me is about a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Uh, it's kind of a meh movie. But it's enjoyable, and we watched it about twice. Which we,
About twice.
we watched it twice. Which we didn't do with these other movies. We watched it once. Hang on, I should be drawing during the stream.
I was noticing that. I was like, you kind of pause a little bit.
But
I was like, I think I've been looking at Steve's pants for a while. And I
yeah.
don't. Basic boy pants.
Okay. But anyway, it's a pretty simplest. It's a pretty, it's a comedy. It's nice. It doesn't really challenge you to think too much, but I think there's something in there for people to, enjoy, and it's something I definitely watch if, you don't really have anything else to watch, or you need to turn your brain off, or, you know, you just need something on uh for a group of people. What about you?
Like I would watch the movie again. Like if you were to suggest it, I'd be like, oh sure, like why not? It's not one of those movies. I mean, if I were to watch it like 100 times, like probably like a month, yeah, I get bored. But like maybe every once in a while, I'd be fine with it. Like because it's interesting, and I feel like every time you go back in, you kind of catch more things because how the jokes are put. You kind of like the first time, like I was like, okay, this is a little bit confusing, and then we watched it the second time. I was like, oh, now I understand the joke, or now I understand what he's saying, because Blackbeard does have, like I said before, he speaks in old English. He has an accent,
Yeah.
and he speaks really fast.
Yeah. So, are we ready to move on to the second film?
Yeah, the second film. Mm-hmm.
So, the second ew, I spat on my screen. Gross. So the second film is The Strongest Man in the World, by Disney. It was made in the 70s, I believe.
How long
Uh,
am I going to be staring at Steve's pants?
don't worry, the stream will catch up. You'll see me drawing more things. I'm on the jacket. But The Strongest Man in the World is, it feels to me, I said this before, but before when we first watched it, but it feels like a Disney Channel movie. If they made it today, minus a few things, which we'll get to in a minute, uh, you wouldn't tell the difference. You would think that
True.
this would be something a Disney Channel original movie would be. So the story goes, you're at another college, called Medfield, and
Medfield again.
Medfield. Oh, no, no. Godolphins had the Godolphin College.
Oh yeah, and then there's Medfield.
Then there's Medfield, which they used like twice to our knowledge. You guys will know what I mean later. But there's Medfield, and they're having money issues. So the principal is either having to make cuts or figure out a way to raise money for the college. And so he's cutting, the science team out of the building, and he fires the science teacher. So everybody goes home, and one of the students actually made, a cereal for this cow they were feeding. They were renting for $15 a day.
which apparently was too much for the school because they are going poor.
I mean, it. I
it,
mean,
it
it's
it makes sense.
$15 a day. It adds up. Plus, it's in the 70s.
I mean, like it makes sense too. Like the school. I mean, probably in our day we would look at $15 being kind of like nothing, but at this time period, that probably was a lot of money to be spending on a cow just to be renting it.
Yeah. The So they send the cow home. The cow was being fed vitamins cereal to grow strong and produce more milk. So basically what I guess food industries do today, where they kind of manipulate animals biology to produce more product. Uh, However, in a fit of rage, the principal slash dean slams the door shut, which uh, puts the entire movie in motion. But somebody's formula gets mixed in with the cereal, and they're taking the cereal home. The cow eats it, and it produces more milk. Like, the owner of the cow calls the student in the middle of the night, like at 3 a.m., and he's just like, hey, uh our cow's been like produced like 30 gallons of milk already. What did you do to this cow? But he's just like, oh, that's weird, and he hangs up. Doesn't really give an explanation, which is kind of funny. And he goes down, asks the student if he could eat some cereal,
The
which I
weirdest
don't.
part, the weirdest part about that scene was the fact that the cow had eaten that cereal, and then one of the kids had put the cereal back in the box, which is the same cereal that the main one of the main characters just decided to eat. I was like, didn't the cow touch that cereal? Why are you eating it again?
Like, not only that, he's mixing the cereal, which he knows has chemicals in it, in with the other like food. So that's not safe. So
Well, he knew it had vitamins in it. He didn't know it had chemicals. He knew it had vitamins.
yeah, the main, well, what we assume to be the main character student looks a lot like Kelso from that 70s show, which is kind of funny.
What did I say the other main? What did I say the other character looked like? I said he looked like like Shaggy mixed with someone. It was
Oh
like
yeah,
Shaggy.
mixed with
Oh,
Ron
Ron
Weasley.
Weasley. I was like, they had a child. That's what like the character Skylar looked like.
Yeah, I still don't remember the name of the other student. I'm just gonna call him Kelso.
Oh no, his name was Dexter.
Oh, really? Okay, so his name is Dexter. Um, and you would think that the movie would focus on Dexter and his, strength because the cereal gave him strength, superhuman strength. So, the student essentially made the super soldier serum from Captain America. But he has strength, and you would think that the movie would follow this kid and his newfound strength, but it doesn't. So the movie gets weirder. So the dean is, so they go to show the dean, like, look, this guy ate cereal, now he's super strong because of our, like, experiments. And he's just like, wow, I'm gonna tell the cereal company. So he sells this idea to the cereal company. Hey, if you sold, like, strength serum cereal to people, and because the strength is temporary, they would buy more cereal. And for about 5 to 10 minutes, we watched the dean
That
break
was
the
too much.
room.
That was too much for me. I almost left the room watching that.
Yeah, he swings on the chandeliers. He lifts up, like, a dumbbell with, I don't remember the weight of the dumbbell, but it was a ridiculous amount. And he chopped the giant table in half. And so they're just like, ah, this stuff actually works, and it's brilliant since it's temporary. We can sell more. So the lady who owns the cereal company, cr- there's Crinkly Crunch, and then like Crispy Crunch. I don't remember the cereal company's names. There are two in this movie, but I'm just gonna call it Rice, cause I don't know. So the lady's just like, okay, we're gonna sell this, but be careful of spies. And as she says that, we're introduced to, uh, her nephew, and her nephew tells the other, rival cereal company, hey, this cereal has, strength serum. Uh, they're gonna
I was
beat, yeah,
I was I was kind of expecting because like everyone on the main serials team is like related to the girl or the owner of it and called aunt or something. I was low key expecting the other company to be like related to her somehow, and they're just like rival like siblings rivalry or something, which didn't end up happening. But I thought it would be funny.
yeah. Um, Oh yeah, so she calls up the other cereal company. I should say this before we get into the spy stuff, but she calls up the cereal company and she's just like, "Hey, we're going to have a weightlifting competition at the school because we're funding that for some reason. So we can see what the number one cereal in the world is." And the other cereal company's just like, "All right, you're on." And because, weightlifting determines what cereal is better. I guess in this case, yes, but it's kind of weird if your cereal didn't do that and you just kind of use that as an opportunity to be like, hey, uh, our cereal is better than yours, even though this has
Well,
nothing to do with the
it's
competition.
just it's just product placement. If you are a lot of companies do this in real life. If you see someone eating a cereal and then do something after that, they try to draw you in like, oh yes, this is what's making them act like this, not their own body or own strength. It's just how they are. It's just
Yeah,
how what the cereal does, or yeah, in this case, the cereal. Not, I don't know what product I'm thinking in my head, but
yeah. Oh my gosh. But so the spy stuff we get into her nephew contacts the other cereal company being like, hey, you're getting duped, this stuff actually works. And he's just like, okay, we're going to send people in to steal that serum. And so we're introduced to these two characters. One of them's named Cookie, and the other, I forget what the other guy's name was.
I don't know. Cookie was the one that stole the show. The other guy was just there.
The other guy was, I don't know, the other guy was pretty good too, but I really liked Cookie. Honestly, I could watch, an entire movie about those two, which I guess we almost did. Because for the next
Uh,
30 minutes, we
I
followed
think
them
I think
trying
like
to
next
steal the cereal.
45 minutes.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. So, for the next, third of the movie, we're following them trying to steal the cereal. First, they try to break into the school to get the serum. And next, what they try to do is they actually kidnap one of the students.
They kidnap Ron Weasley's child.
Yeah, so they take Skylar to Chinatown. Eh, oh my gosh.
It
They
was a restaurant.
It was at a restaurant, and this guy, this police officer's, giving a state of address, and he's just like, oh yeah, I actually don't know why he was there, to be honest. Was it like international relations or something?
I I don't. They didn't really go into much detail. They just kind of said, "Oh, the police chief is just there." I think he was like getting an award or something. Like they were doing like awards at this
Y-
Chinese restaurant for some reason.
Yeah, they were doing some sort of award. They didn't specify what they were doing there. All we know is that they were in Chinatown, and the police chief was kind of a idiot.
Full of himself. Let's just.
Yeah. Um it's a little that part's a little dated. but I think it kind of balances itself out with the fact that the movie's just like, yeah, the police chief's an idiot.
Hmm. I mean, a lot
So
does go in that scene. A lot does end up going in that scene because the bronze child Skylar, as I call him, bronze child, but the character Skylar is like getting like what is it? What is
uh, he's being brainwashed through acupuncture, which is not
which
how acupuncture works at all.
which if you do have a fear of needles, I'd probably skip this scene a little bit. It is a little weird if you do not like needles.
Yeah, I mean they don't like jam the whole thing like way deep into the skin. They kind of just like tap it and stick it there.
His face was also just really weird during that entire scene. He looked possessed. It was just a weird scene.
So, he's just like, okay, we're gonna brainwash the formula out of this guy, which they do, but it's the wrong formula because it was the other guy's formula that made, the cereal make the cereal have, the strong serum or whatever.
I don't know. They were saying a bunch of words and then they added pizza and
Yeah, they added pizza. Oh yeah, because the cow liked pizza. Uh, that was great. But I can't even with that scene. That was weird. And so Skylar straight up steals a police vehicle because, he's brainwashed to like, oh, go home to your dog. And you have to get home to your dog no matter what. So, no, he steals a police car. The police dogpile him. Like, ridiculous amount of people on top of that kid. Oof. Uh, so the next. Next they're, the rival cereal company tries to make this strength cereal and it doesn't work. In fact, I think the guy breaks his hand. Um,
oh yeah, he tried to break a table. For some
oh
reason,
yeah,
they all like trying to break tables.
yeah, they tried to break a table and he broke his hand and he's just like, "Oh, the serum doesn't work." And then the guy is just like, "Wait, if the serum doesn't work, that
Okay,
must mean
I'll
these
be right back.
people."
I'll be right back.
All right, I'll continue with the story. But that must mean that the other cereal company is full of it and they don't actually have strength enhancing cereal. So they decide to go with the competition. And so the com so they go on with the competition and because they made more cereal using the cow kids uh multivitamin recipe plus pizza, the cereal doesn't work. So these wimpy skinny twig kids who eat the cereal and go to lift the weights, they can't lift them because the cereal doesn't work. And the guy who was strong before, with the serum, realized something is wrong. So takes the dean's car. He's just like, "Hey, can I use your car?" And the dean's just like, "Sure." And then he's just like, "Oh wait, no, my car." And then the kid goes to the school and you know Cookie, his boss, and other rival cereal company's men are there to stop the kid. So he takes the serum, he drinks some of it, and he beats them up. And the car's the car he took is very slow, and so he has to drive back and lift 10,000 pounds or something. He had to lift a ridiculous amount of weight to win the competition because the other kids were so bad. Um, so he takes the car and he's driving down the road and he's just like, I need to get there in time, otherwise we lose the competition. So he puts some of the serum in the car, and the car sputters and it zooms off. And along the way, the car's breaking off piece by piece until he gets there. And as you can imagine, it ends where he takes, the serum, some more serum, and he lifts the weights and wins the competition. And, that's the story. What's Streamlabs doing? Alright, log. I think we're doing good so far with the connection. It went red. Oh, no, it's yellow. No, it's red. It's yellow. Yeah. I hope eventually I can fix the connection problem because connection is terrible. So let's draw a happy smile. I can only do this kind of math. I think I liked the other smile better. Eventually I'll be able to talk and draw at the same time. Eventually. Give Blackbeard a little hat. Now I was stuttering a lot at the beginning of the stream and, awkward silences, but now that I've been going, I feel like I can talk more and that I'm getting better. I hope for the people watching this in the future, they don't find this too much of a turn off here. Okay. Let me check Blackbeard's outfit. Okay. So Blackbeard in Blackbeard's case doesn't have, a huge beard, but it's still, a scraggly, messy beard. Let's see. If you want to see the finished product, you may follow my art Instagram. I actually have an art Instagram. Hang on. Let me pull that up. My art Instagram is invadercole_art on Instagram. So I'll post the link in the description later once, the live stream is over. Let's see, what other news can I talk about while we wait for our friend? So channel news. Let me hang on there. So channel news. What I plan to do, I'm going to be posting, gameplays of different games. That my computer can handle at the moment, handle recording. My other projects, what I plan to do, I am going to be making a series on different adaptations of Sherlock Holmes. We're going to be looking at those and reviewing some of them, going into, the history of Sherlock Holmes. So I hope there are some fans out there of Sherlock Holmes that would enjoy that. Um, I think what I'm going to cover first is the BBC Sherlock, just so I can get that out of the way, and other people don't have to wait that for that. Um, what else? I hope to do, filming projects soon. Oh, excuse me. I'm working on a huge Star Wars animation project, but it's still kind of in butter at the moment because some people I'm working with have went AFK indefinitely. So, as it were, AFK is not the right word, but hello, welcome back.
Hello.
How are you?
I know, hot. It's hot outside.
It really is.
Ugh.
Let's see. Let's see. I finished up the story, so do you have any comments?
Wasn't my favorite.
Yeah, out of the three, this one was my least favorite, but I did grow up with this. So I have a sort of a soft spot for this movie, but
I just
rewatching
it
it
was
for
kind
the
of just
first
a
time.
ridiculous.
Yeah, rewatching it the first time in a long while is but I think here's the thing. This thing went into many different different, directions that unexpected directions. However, at the same time, it went in too many directions. I feel like we didn't know what who the main character focus was supposed to be, and I
Yeah,
don't even think that this
I
was
really didn't
supposed to
know
be
who
an
the
on.
main
Yeah,
character was.
yeah. I don't think this was supposed to be an ensemble movie. I think it was kind of supposed to be, but I didn't really get that vibe, which is why I was like kind of digging for a main character.
I was like, it mostly seemed to focus on the dean, who, in my opinion, favorable character.
Yeah. Uh, I think that's okay if it focused on the dean a little more. I think that's kind of a nice twist from the typical focus on the students. However, the dean, mm, the dean wasn't that developed. I don't think
He just
anybody learned
wasn't that
anything.
interesting of a character.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie kind of started off like making me like dislike him in the very beginning of it, just how he acted.
Ooh, this is nice. Yeah. Um, what else can I say? There's some dated humor in it, and for a movie about students who are supposed to be, smart. Some people are supposed to be smart. Uh, everybody's kind of an idiot in this film.
They really are.
I mean, like, I understand if it was like, the dean or Cookie or any of those characters, you know, but the students themselves weren't really that smart either, which is odd
Yeah,
because we're supposed to buy that, they're on the honor roll system, they're super smart and whatever, and especially Skylar is a bit of an airhead.
they were like book smart, but they didn't really have like street smarts in a way, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I suppose. Uh, there
But
was some dated humor, especially with Chinatown there, which might be a takeaway for some people,
mm,
but
overall, just a lot of the scenes were just really weird.
yeah. However, as I said before, I did like some characters. and I feel like some of the comedy kind of made me chuckle a little bit. So it wasn't complete torture.
Yeah, I just think it was not my favorite out of the movies. It, like, it's not a movie I would want to watch anytime soon again, just
Yeah.
because of how all over the place it really was, and not really focusing on anything. And just, you didn't really get to know the characters that well, and I didn't really like a lot of the characters.
Yeah. Um, with Blackbeard, yes, it took an interesting direction, but with this movie, it while it does take an interesting direction, and I think
It,
the rivalry between the two cereal companies is interesting in and itself. Um, it didn't give us a chance to get attached to anybody or get attached to an idea that the movie presented, which is kind of a detriment. And I think I think the main focus of the movie is definitely comedy, and I think they focus more on the comedy aspect rather than the story aspect. Which some movies do that, which is okay. However, with how interesting some of the story is, I would like to see more from it, if you know what I mean.
mm-hmm. I kind of just wished it focused in like one direction.
You cut off there. Did I click out of?
It went in so many different directions. I just didn't know where to focus on. I just didn't really know what to focus on because the movie went in so many different directions.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's go to the ratings here. Uh, how many stars out of 5 did you give characters?
For characters,
Yeah,
okay, let's go to this. Lovely. 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5. Alright. Um,
There wasn't anything really like special about many of the characters. And like you said, like you would expect for a bunch of honor roll students to be, not acting the way they really were. They just didn't really think things through, which was weird to see.
yeah. Um, for me, I think, let's see, I gave it also a 2 out of 5. Uh, I couldn't get attached to anybody, Um, However, there are some characters that I did enjoy, so it stays at two.
Like I enjoyed Cookie's character and Skylar's character was okay, but that was like probably about it.
Honestly, I could watch a whole movie about the two serial spies. To be honest, I mean we almost did.
They also never really went into detail about like where those people came from because it seemed
Oh
like everyone
yeah.
knew who they were.
Oh yeah, I remember now. 'Cause one of the, industry spies for the cereal company apparently has a past with a skull, and we don't know what kind of past we have, but they're just like, "Oh, it's this guy again."
And they also like they just like all the honor roll students knew who these two people were. And like the cookie character even said like I know the kid who made the potion I know the kid who made the potion, which they at the time thought that it was Skylar. Like so Cookie knew who Skylar was, and it never really went into detail of how these characters knew each other.
And then they were just like, "Why do we keep messing with these Medfield students?" And I was, yeah, they present an interesting, past that we never get, which I feel like if I had a little more development, like oh, they know them because of this. Uh, they don't have to go into too much detail. They just need to give, a little crumb, just a little crumb of anything. Because I would
Mm-hmm.
like to see a movie wh- uh, why these guys know these Medfield students. Were they teachers? Did they do something bad? Like, really bad? I don't know.
They were also coming out of jail, which was the more concerning part.
Yeah, they escaped from jail.
I think they got bailed out or something. They didn't really escape. I'm not
Oh
really
no, they
sure.
didn't escape from jail. Oh, they got released. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of something else.
What movie are you thinking?
I was suddenly thinking about I don't remember the name of the movie. It will come to me. Um let's see. So, let's see what's next on the docket. Themes. Uh
I think I put a 0 on this one because there was just all over the place. There was no character arcs. It didn't focus on anyone really.
yeah, there was no really not really any character growth. Again, it's fine since it's a comedy that maybe a character doesn't develop at all. But it's I feel like there's backstory we don't get to see. Some students they say that they're supposed to be smart, but we don't get to see that. Um, so I think if I remember right, I think I also gave it. I think I gave it a 1 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Blackbeard has some nice legs.
Let's see. So comedy. The comedy's hit or miss. There were times that I did chuckle. There was moments that I was just like, okay, that's funny. I think I gave that a 3 out of 5.
I give it a 2 out of 5. I just remember we were going over like notes when we were reading this, and I put paranoid people for some reason, and I think it had to do with all the spy kind of stuff.
Oh yeah,
Just
the
because
spy paranoia, and then it was explained in the next scene, and you were just like, oh.
I was just like, oh, great, spy is in a serial movie about weightlifting.
Story again. It's a simple story. I think the story itself that two serial companies spying on each other is interesting, but I feel like it there could have been more development in the sequence of events were kind of all over the place. It the passage of time was also weird because apparently the Skylar kid when he was being, brainwashed was gone for 5 hours. and it was all on the same night. So I was confused about the passage of time. So
Yeah, I mean, time timelines are always kind of hit or miss when you're making them. Like I know I have a lot of trouble when I'm working on timelines for my writings,
mhm.
and I always have to go back and like recheck them. Like I think we went over this for my one of my upcoming projects, and I was just like, oh, I messed up this time like totally, and I had to go back and do it. So like I can understand that timelines can be a little bit of a hassle when you're trying to make them. They're
Yeah,
they can be hard.
I'm gonna draw again because I've been too busy checking on Streamlabs. Cause Streamlabs is so weird. Let's see. I gave story about I think it was 2.5 out of 5 stars.
I give it a 1.5. Oof.
Let's see. Film. The filming is pretty okay. Like the camera work is okay. Again, nothing to write home about like Blackbeard's Ghost, but for a simple comedy, I think they did all right. They did okay with the shots and the sets and the lighting especially. The lighting was it was easy to see things very clearly. So they did that pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, for story, the reason why I gave it a 1 point, just how the entire starts off is by a slam of a door, which if it hadn't have happened, nothing would have changed. The cow wouldn't have done anything. There would have been no. I don't think they really would have known if there was a strong potion, and it wouldn't have ended up in the cereal.
Yeah. Let's see.
Hmm.
I give
I
film
mean,
about, a 3 out of 5 cuz again like Blackbeard's Ghost, it's pretty well lit. The sets are okay. The camera work, it's average. So,
it's funny because you
ah,
keep giving like either like numbers that are end in point 0.5 or full numbers, and I'm over here being different, like not like 2.9 or 3.8 or something like that.
yeah, yeah.
But I, I did give the film a 2.9. It wasn't a 3 for me. Might even be lower, in my opinion, but I was giving it the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Because, like you were saying, uh, how the effects were and everything, they were decent. They weren't horrible, they weren't great, but they were decent.
Excuse me. Yeah. The so overall, I give this movie about a 2.5 out of 5 stars. If you're looking for mindless comedy, you can watch this or Knives Out, but
Yeah, I give it about the same rating, like a 2.5.
yeah.
It it's not something I would particularly want to watch anytime soon again because I'd probably fall asleep through it.
The
But it
stupid hand. There we go.
and this is why I'm not drawing. You get serious unless you want to wait here for 24 hours watching me try and draw something.
Oh, I get what's wrong. The thumb is on the wrong side of the hand.
What did you do?
I put the thumb on the wrong side of the hand, so I'm putting it on the right side.
That's funny.
Oh man. Let's see. So the third movie's a trip. Oh, okay. It's definitely a trip. Uh, The Absent-Minded Professor. So,
I thought that was a trip.
okay, so here we go. Let's see if I can pull this out of my memory. But for those who don't know, if you've seen Tim Allen's Flubber, this is the original film. Tim Allen's Flubber is a reboot of The Absent-Minded Professor. So, in the absent-minded professor, this guy is engaged to the professor, I forget his name, I'm just gonna call him the professor, is engaged to this girl. Uh, he's missed his wedding 3 times. So, we're already establishing that this professor is really into science, but he's a bit of an airhead and not really, in tune with, human interaction. So, I think you called him, the Sheldon of.
I call him the Sheldon of like the Sheldon Cooper uh of the movie. He has more emotion than Sheldon's character in The Big Bang Theory,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
which which is I know is a show you don't really watch, but it's a show my family really likes for some reason. But
I think
I'm
the professor's more like Sheldon though.
mm-hmm. just just unlike Sheldon, he does show more emotion and human compassion, but he is very focused on science and kind of just like forgets about everything.
Yeah, he actually really does care about the girl. It's just that the way that he goes about it is really interesting. So he has a romantic rival who steps in after he missed his wedding for the third time, and he's just like,
Shelby.
oh, I have to get him. I have to get my girlfriend back. So he takes his, his science experiment that he missed the third wedding for, which is flubber, and flubber works
Flubber.
very different from the flubber movie, because I think in the flubber movie the little flubbers actually are actually like little characters. They're like alive, but in this movie it's just anti-gravity defying slime that can be triggered by radioactive uh waves of some sort. Oh,
Too
which I don't
sciencey
think
for
is
me.
well, I hear radioactive waves and I'm just like, "Oh, that can't be safe, sir."
You say I hear radioactive and I think of Spider-Man.
Yeah, so he puts the flubber in his car and he flies the car around. And that's the main gimmick of the movie. The flubber makes the car fly. So we know we get a lot of car flying in this movie. So they go to the basketball game, and because the professor flunked one of the students in the basketball game, he can't participate. And so everybody's like mad at him because that kid happened to be the star basketball player. I should also
I,
mention that this is taking place in Medfield again. So I need to look up if Medfield's an actual place and see how it's doing financially, because there's another plot point where Medfield is facing, a possibility that it might go bankrupt because the kid who got flunked uh is actually the son of a very rich donator of money, and he's not very happy that the professor flunked his son, and so he's just like, okay, I'm pulling out, you get no more money from me. He's a alumni, I think. Alumni.
I think yeah. I find it funny that all three of these movies we ended up watching all had to do with sports in a way.
Oh yeah, so basically a lot of old Disney movies might have college sports at some point.
Also, the kid in the movie looked like he was 10, not in college. I'm just saying that right now.
Oh yeah, I'll be honest. I thought the school in The Strongest Man in the World was a high school, but that could be just me
Mm-hmm.
because I'm so used to these movies taking place at high school, like our modern day movies. But it was a college, and I was just like, oh, okay, I was wrong. I'll drink my wrong juice.
The kid just looked really young. Like I know I look. I mean, no one's gonna know what I look like, but like I look really young, and a lot of people mistake me younger for my age. I did this character. Like he looks like he's 10, but he's in college. How's this out of?
Yeah. Um. So he takes, he's trying to, talk to the girl during the basketball game, and she's just like, buzz off, uh, because she's
Oh
pretty
yeah,
angry at him.
the the girl's name was Betsy.
Betsy, yeah. her name was Betsy, and Betsy's just like, go away. I don't want to talk to you. You made me upset. And he's just like, okay. So he's sad, but he's trying to persist because back in that day, persistence equaled you know love. But he takes the flubber. He sees that the Medfield basketball team is losing because the other basketball team is monstrously huge. I think they got like actual basketball players in there and they used like child stunt doubles. Cause wow. But he takes the flubber and he puts it at the bottom of the Medfield players' shoes so they can jump higher and win the basketball game. So they win the basketball game. I think the basketball game was about that scene was like about what 5 minutes? It felt like 10 minutes.
It was long. It was also long.
It was very long. Uh,
It,
I feel
towards
like if they shaved a few minutes off of that scene, it would have been
it,
better.
it was also very absurd close to the end because of that scene because the kids kept jumping over like parts on the top of like the ceiling area,
Yeah.
which no one really thought was strange.
Yeah, they were just like, oh, he could just jump high. Nobody questioned it. They were just like, oh, these kids who were being beat before can do this stuff now. We're just not gonna question it.
It was kind of like how in like Blackbeard, no one really questioned how the kids got better during the track game or why everything was kind of weird or how like certain items got onto the field. Like no one is like, oh, our team's winning, so we don't really need to pay attention as long as our team's winning.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. But after this movie was not after the basketball game was interesting because the professor was trying to talk to Betsy, the romantic rival who was an English professor for some reason. I think
His name is Shelby.
his name is
Why do I
Shelby.
remember all these characters' names? And I think the professor's name is Ned.
Ned. Oh yeah, his name was Ned. Professor Ned. He's trying to talk to Betsy, and Betsy's not having it, and the romantic rival is just like, "Ha, you're dumb." And yeah, the romantic rival's name is Shelby. These are a lot of tough words coming from a guy called Shelby. That just makes it funny. But he's driving off, and this is where we thought this movie was going to like end because the professor takes his car and he's following Shelby. Uh and he's making his car jump on Shelby's car, and we thought he was going to die. We were just like, wow, Professor Ned's a psychopath.
I was like, oh, Professor's yandere over here.
Oh yeah, he was like a straight up psychopath. I thought he was trying to kill Shelby for a second, and then Shelby crashed into a police car. And what is with the police in these movies being so dumb?
Well, what's up with like one of the characters crashing into a police or running into a police?
Yeah. So the policemen are just like, okay, you have to breathe the rebreather to make sure you're not, drinking. And, the guy is also being stupid and yelling at the police, like, I'm not drunk, and all
You
that
know who
stuff.
I am.
You know who I am. I am Professor Shelby of the English class.
I think
Professor
like
Shelby.
Redfield or something. I forgot what the
Oh
his
yeah,
school he worked for was.
Redfield or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
he worked at a
because they
different
went to a
college
rival
from
school.
Medfield.
Yeah, he was at a rival school.
Yeah, which is weird. I I don't. Hmm. I didn't get the point of why he was in a different school. The character himself, but let me think. What else happened? So he gets they're making him breathe into the rebreather, and Ned just drives by, and he's just like, "Can you tell me how to get where?" And they're just like, oh yeah, that way. And then he drives off. And then like Shelby's just like, wait, tell them who I am.
Yeah.
And so, the flunked basketball player and the his dad are talking about business, and he's just like, son, you have to, learn how to be a businessman and be smart and start, making business moves and business, money, money, money. And the son is just like, hey, it's old Ned flying his old car. And the dad is just like, shut up, Ned. Wait a minute. The guy flying a car, we must profit off of this somehow. So he makes it. They know that it's Ned, so they make a plan to, uh, essentially get the flubber from Ned so they can sell it. So they walk up to Ned. They go to Ned's house, and I forgot what his boots look like. I'll just go up here. And so what else? What else? Where was I? Right. So, the business guy is just like, listen, I'll give, we can sell this flubber to other places. And, he's talking business with, he's just like, let's sell the flubber and, talk to people, we can make this, he goes into like, I think he talks about like weapons or science, and he's just like, this is a great scientific discovery that would cost millions. And then Ned, he's just like, are you planning to blackmail our government? And at that moment, I was just like, what? Where did you get that from? He did not say anything about blackmailing the government. I didn't think his plan implied that either. I was just like, what the actual heck? So the guy's just like, no, no, he's play. I'm just like, why are you playing along to blackmail the government? And he's just like, no, no, we're not gonna. Don't think of it as blackmailing. I must have missed something. I have to go back and watch the movie. I must have missed something. But I just remember going, whoa, I wouldn't go that far, buddy.
I mean, it is the same guy that we thought was trying to murder Shelby. So
True, he could have just misread the situation, but I guess not. I guess the guy was trying to blackmail the government or something. So he's just like, you know what? I'm going to call the president of the United States myself and give it to the military. And so, it's
which
so
is really weird.
he calls the Pentagon, and he's just like, I have a fantastic scientific discovery. And he's just like, oh, what's it? What's this discovery benefit? And he's just like, it can benefit anything from, agriculture to blah 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 blah. And he's just like, oh, agriculture. And he forwards him to agriculture, who
They
forwards
just
him.
kept sending him around.
Yeah, they put him. They like send him around, which, this part I actually found funny because I completely understood everything. So, uh, he gets sent. His call gets forwarded to, the military, right? And so the Navy, the Air Force, and the Army, the Marines are not in here. It's just, the Air Force, the Navy, and the Army. But it would have been hilarious if the Marines were in there. Um, so they're just like, what flubber? That's weird. And they're just like, huh, we're not gonna go over there. And then they send their secret people to be like, hey, get us a plane. We're going to check this guy out and his weird flubber. And So the guy goes, so Ned, he's just like, all right, I'm gonna go to the alumni dance now. And this is, this feels very much like, a high school story at this point. This guy's trying to get his girl back, and his mate is just like, go out there and get your girl back through the power of dancing. And
I totally forgot about that part, to be honest.
yeah, so their entire romance, so their romance plot between Ned and Betsy feels like a high school romance. It feels like it's written like a high school romance. So he's just like, you know what, you're right. I'm gonna dance my heart out and win Betsy back, which doesn't work. I'm just at this point, I'm just like, dude, you're harassing her. Please stop.
I guess what you.
And so the military comes and is like, we want to look at your flubber. And I completely forgot this part, but the business guy and his son steal his car and switch it out with a fake one. So when the military comes to check out the car and to see how it flies, it doesn't fly. And in typical, fashion, everybody's just like, haha, you're stupid, Ned. And then they, walk away. And Ned's just like, I don't understand. Why doesn't it work? And then he's just like, oh, I get it. This is not my car because it doesn't have a radio. My car has a radio. And so his mission now is to get, his car back. But in the meantime, Betsy is just like, you know what? I love you because I pity you.
She basically found him on the ground, like, sad, and she's like, you know what, I love you. I'll find this. I believe you, all this kind of stuff. Because she was just done with Shelby at this point.
Oh, yeah, because Shelby was being such a dick.
She's like, oh, that fool over there, blah, blah.
And then Betsy was
really
like, oh, shut up. Yeah. She's just like, no, shut up. And she's just like, I like Ned instead because basically pretty much anything is an upgrade from Shelby, if we're being honest.
I almost felt bad for Shelby, but I didn't like his character, so it was kind of fine.
I need to fix that guy's cheek. There we go. Let me,
Look at his eyebrow. There's determination in those eyes.
Let me go back to my tools, please. Thank you. I don't know if it's the same actor, but the guy from Blackbeard Ghost looks a lot like the guy from the Absent-Minded Professor, but I think it's because all white guys back then look kind of the same.
Oh, did you? This movie was also a black and white movie, which is interesting.
Oh yeah, it's all in black and white. So, yeah. Let's see. So they steal the car back from the businessman. Oh, in the meantime, they trick the businessman into wearing shoes with flubber under the heels. And so they're just like, you know what would be funny if you jumped out the building and, landed on your feet, which, the guy demonstrates and he's okay. He's just like, oh, it's fine. And so, they're tricking him to jumping out of a building with a promise that the flubber will keep him safe. And, he's very lucky that it does. So, but now he's stuck jumping up and down, jumping higher and higher and higher. And so, he's stuck there and they're just like, cool, we're gonna get our car back. Goodbye. And he's just like, wait, tell me how to get down. So they steal the car back and they fly. And, eventually the guy gets rescued. It's a pretty funny scene. I honestly don't want to spoil that because it's a very hilarious scene. But
It was just funny to watch.
They take the car, they steal it back, and then Ned and Betsy start acting like, a married couple. And I'm just like, excuse me, where did all this come from?
I was like, did you forget you were mad at him?
Did you forget? Why are they acting like this? And she's just like, oh, I don't want to break a nail.
Yeah.
Let's see. So they're flying over to DC to the Pentagon, and so the army, the US military thinks that they're like it's an enemy, aircraft disguised as a car. So they're just like, if you don't identify yourselves, we're going to blast you out of the sky. And they're trying to yell, like, no, no, we're normal people in a flying car. But they can't, identify themselves because they don't have a radio to connect to, the military. So they go behind, the Congress building. And this part's hilarious. They're just like, no, no, don't blast them. They're behind the Congress building. And the guy's just like, I don't care. He's about to press a button. And they're just like, we just got it painted. And he's just like, you know what? Fine. It's.
Yeah, he didn't really care that the congressmen were inside the
Yeah, they were
building
just like, the
still.
congressmen are inside. We're going to lose all our politics. And he's just like, I don't care.
Eh.
And then it took, we just got a new paint job for him to be like, you know what? Fine. So that was great. So he lands in the garden area, maybe? He lands on the green grass, and everybody, dogpiles him, and then the movie ends with Ned talking to the president, which we don't get to see. We get to see him walk out and about to answer questions of many reporters, to which this lawyer keeps cutting him off and speaking for him, implying that the president said something that nobody else was supposed to hear. And that's the end of the movie.
No, they got married. They got married.
Oh
That was
yeah, they
about it.
got married. They got married. The reporter was just like, "Is there anything big you're gonna do next?" And he's just like, "I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna actually marry this chick."
I guess fourth time's a charm
Fourth
instead of
time's
third.
the charm. And that's the end of the movie. I think out of the three, because I was stuck between Blackbeard's ghost and the absent-minded professor, but thinking about it now, I think I liked how crazy that absent-minded professor was.
Okay, so for characters, what did you end up thinking about characters?
For characters, I think there was oddly enough, even though this movie is older, I feel, and it's supposed to be, a comedy, I feel like there was a little more depth, especially with Ned. But again, it's the airhead genius we've seen before on uh Big Bang Theory. However, for the time, it's a pretty interesting character.
Mm-hmm.
Uh Everybody else is, again, kind of basic. However, I there was another character that I thought was pretty good. It was the basketball student that Ned flunked, because the basketball student actually pretty smart. I feel like uh you kind of like get the impression, if this kid's not, genius smart, but if he actually cared, he could pass the classes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he also had, he also had some character growth because like from the beginning of the movie, to like towards the end, you can see a little bit of character growth in that kid's character. That's a character way too many times in one sentence.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. I gave characters about a 3.5 out of 5 stars.
I gave it a 3.
3. For themes, I I think let's see. I'm trying to think in terms of old movie and what kind of morals there are, but I think it's, stick.
The main one was like kind of just like fixing your relationship in a weird way. Like,
Yeah, the main plot of this movie, like one of the major subplots of this movie was, fixing relationship. Uh I would
I mean,
say the big moral of the story, don't miss your wedding 3 times.
you shouldn't miss it the first time, but
You shouldn't miss it the first time, but one time maybe, but 3 times is overkill.
yeah, I don't think I'd be too happy if my husband missed the wedding.
Yeah, man. I know that I could be airheaded sometimes, but even I'm not that airheaded. Oh my gosh. Uh, I give themes about a 2.5 out of 5 stars. I feel
For
like
what
it
part?
would raise. I feel like the score would raise if I thought more about it, but. What did you give themes?
For themes, I gotta. mm, My headphones are being whack again. Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have to. God. Well, now I'll be talking without my headphones because my headphones are being weird,
Oh, okay.
which we love. For theme, I think I ended up giving. I gave it a 2.5 for theme because again, there wasn't really much of a theme in my opinion, but I
Yeah.
also like go through a movie and like nitpick everything. So
Yeah. Let's see. For comedy, it was pretty funny. Uh,
comedy was almost a 4.
oh yeah. I think I gave it a 4.
I gave it a 3.8 because I gotta be weird with my numbers for some reason.
Let's see. The comedy, I think once you're into it, you're just like, okay, okay, this is funny, this is funny. There's some genuinely funny parts, especially at the second half of the movie. I feel like a lot of the times the comedy really starts picking up throughout these 3 movies. The comedy starts picking up either at the second third of the movie, like the second third of the movie, or at the or at the halfway point of the movie, especially
Mm-hmm.
with Blackbeard's ghost in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Comedy kind of stayed the same throughout. Strongest Man in the World. I don't know if it really picked up anywhere in my point of view. Maybe it did to you, but it kind of just stayed the same to me the entire movie.
Yeah. Uh oh yeah, for the strongest man in the world. Did it pick up? Uh yeah, it kind of did stay through the same throughout the movie, but there were high and low points. It kind of fluctuated.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else. Comedy. Let's see story. Oh man, I feel like this is the longest description of a story I gave.
I wrote flubber with an exclamation
Flubber. You gave it a flubber out of 5.
point. Make flubber fix relationship.
Flubber
This
fixes
is
all relationships, man.
if you're single guys, just make flubber. You'll be fine. You'll be married. You'll have kids. You'll have a life. Just make flubber.
I'm gonna skip the annoying part. Just make flubber.
Make flubber.
Flubber.
Be a scientist. Make flubber. That's all you need. A nice
Flying cars
flubber.
will get you the bitches.
Flying cars will get you a girl or a guy. That's all you need. Flubber.
uh, let's see. The story was definitely interesting. It again, I felt like it kind of went like crazy. It definitely went crazy places, but it was like on a slope up in crazy places, and it got to the end of the story.
It
Uh,
also followed the same characters through the entire thing, not jumping around like
yeah,
It didn't jump around like the strongest man in the world. It mostly focused on, Ned.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't mind an ensemble cast, but you know, uh, there are definitely characters in this movie that you follow, and I could follow it well. It's simple, even though it goes crazy places. It's still pretty simple to follow for the most part.
Yeah.
So I give the story about this hand looks terrible, but I give the story about a 4 out of 5.
I gave it like a 3.3.
So film,
I
honestly,
like you're just like, okay, film.
film. Unless you have more comments, go ahead.
I mean, you kind of went over everything. It was just the story was basically, science, lover trying to fix your relationship, flying car, and no murder. So I'm
Almost
kidding.
murder, like
Almost murder
twice.
twice. Yes, almost murder twice.
Let's see, film. Uh, I think the effects in this film is pretty impressive for the time.
Yeah, it was good, and I would have given it a high. I gave it a 3. I would have given it a higher one, but like I've explained to you before, I don't really like black and white movies, and you know, and I love like old horror movies. Like I love Psycho, and
Yeah.
that's a black and white. It's just we went over this. We went over like I think the pixelation or something about
Oh
black and
yeah,
white
it's the
films.
film grain. So
Yeah, some good.
yeah,
They usually give me headaches, but when we were watching it, it was really clear. And though I think I already had a headache from earlier that day, as usual.
it was from the strongest man in the world.
Yes, that's where the headache came from.
But yeah, the
I
film.
look,
I'm not sure if this is Disney Plus's doing, but the film grain is cleared. For the most part cleared. I mean, it's still there, but the picture in some parts is so crystal clear. I'm just like, wow. I'm not sure if this is the work of Disney, remastering it, or if it was the filming itself. But it's impressive.
I found it funny that we were just on Discord for 9 hours that day, just watching all the film.
Yeah, yeah.
That I think we started at like 2, and we didn't finish till like 11, and we were like, what did we do for our lives for the last 9 hours?
Yeah. Uh, let's see. What else? Do I have anything else to say about this movie? The effects. Oh yeah. Again, I'm not sure if this is a work of a remastering, but when the basketball player in the scene with the basketball players, I couldn't see any wires. So I think that was a plus. I say like I mean, usually in these movies, you'd see, a line, lifting the people up. I think it's probably still there, and I didn't see it as well. But, you know, it was great they did a pretty good job with the editing, I think.
Like with the flying car, it was pretty good too.
Oh, yeah.
It's just I think all the movies kind of stretched out scenes a little too long. Like Strongest Man in the World had the Dean scene that was way too long. Like I wanted to leave the room during that scene because just how long it was, and also just because of what the character was wearing was really disturbing, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
Uh,
the basketball in
uh,
this movie was also dragged out pretty long.
yeah. Uh, I'm not sure if there was a scene in Blackbeard's Ghost that dragged out for too long, to be honest. I think it was paced just fine.
You would think the motorcycle scene would have drawn on for too long, but they actually did a pretty good job, even
Yeah.
though it was kind of a
Oh
long
wait, wait,
scene.
wait. No, there was an introduction.
True. Yeah, the introduction was pretty long. I mean, he just poor man just wanted a room. Yeah, I gave it a solid 3. Like it wasn't bad. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't great, but it was a good movie. I probably would have rated it higher. It's just I black and white movies are just an interesting field for me. Even though I love even though I love old movies, like black and white films are just kind of off-putting to me. But that's just me. I think when we were rating these, my two favorites out of the three were Absent-Minded Professor and Blackbeard. The thing I liked Blackbeard a little. I liked Blackbeard a tad bit more than the Absent-Minded Professor, just because I think I like the comedy aspect in that one more because you didn't really have to think, but you did have to think a little bit with the comedy, and I kind of just like the characters a little bit more in that movie. So we both agree that strongest man on the world is number 3 in our list of 4. Just staring at Steve's crooked finger. I mean, again, this was our first one. Like, we knew this was going to be a rough one, especially since one, your mic hasn't come in, and two, we are far apart because of quarantine. And I know where you live, it doesn't really, they don't want you off. So, it, We're trying to make it work. Yeah, we're just trying to make it work. I mean, like this is kind of just our test episode in a way. Yeah. Again, you're not going to be perfect your first stream. You're not going to be perfect doing anything your first time. So it's it's an experience for us. It's an experience for anyone who decides to watch this. It's and if we continue to do this, you'll see us. We'll grow more, and we could probably look back at our first stream, and we'll probably be laughing at this. Like, why were we like this? But like a year later, we just come back and we're like, oh gosh, we were cringy. Yeah, I'll probably end up watching the part that I was gone for because I was busy for a second. But I'm probably just gonna be cringing through this entire thing. Like, why are we like this?